Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel Survive the Shows, where we deep dive into the world of television and also celebrate the forgettable characters that have graced our screens. Today, we have something extra special in store for you. We will explore the minds of talented individuals who took on the challenge of portraying these unforgettable characters from the TV shows of the first years of 2000s that defined an era. We will uncover the secrets behind their performances, the journey of character development, and the impact they left on popular culture. We are joined by the star of the popular TV show Dawson's Creek. We are here tonight with our guest, John Wesley Shipp, who portrays Mitch Leery, Dawson's father in Dawson's Creek. You could also may know him from many more other projects. Welcome, John, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
And let's begin. How did you approach the challenge of portraying such an iconic character from a 2000s TV series like Mitch Leary?
Um, well, I wasn't the original actor, They had cast a different actor because I was in Moab, Utah doing a different project. So when they decided to go to series, they wanted to go a different way with the father. And so I auditioned with a bunch of other people, and then they cast me. I When I saw what they had already filmed, I knew that it was going to be something very special. There weren't shows that were written for young people that sounded like that. It sounded different. The kids had all these conflicting emotions, but they also had the vocabulary to be able to express them, and I loved how it was shot in Wilmington, North Carolina, and that the water, the creek, was actually a character in the show. The waters there are, I'm from the Southeast, from southeastern coastal United States. So the water is very much a part of the landscape there. And I thought they used that very well. It was interesting walking into a cast that had already been they had already shot one episode and they had shot the pilot presentation. And so I was walking into a cast that had already bonded. And the first scene that we shot was the one in the pilot where I'm laying on the coffee table and Gail is laying on top of me and we're making out. And Dawson and Pacey walk in and I sit up and she rolls over on the floor. So it was just being thrown right in. It's like, hi, Mary Margaret. Hi, I'm John. Hi, okay, go. And we're like making out on the coffee table. So it's a very strange business, but it was a unique experience for a number of years, having a young, intelligent, remarkably talented, relatively unknown cast become international superstars almost overnight, but being protected from Hollywood because we were in this southeastern coastal town. So we tended to operate as a family. When James Van Der Beek, when his movie Varsity Blues went to #1, he wanted his TV mom and dad to go see it with him. But that's when he signed his first autograph, he was so excited he couldn't wait to tell Mary-Margaret Humes, who played his mom, that he had signed his first autograph. So it was really unique and special experience, and I'm so grateful to have had it. And I'm so grateful because Kevin Williamson told me at the beginning, he said the parents will have their own independent subsidiary but intersecting storylines with the kids. He said, and his words, he said, I promise I won't turn you into 90210 parents. I promise that you'll be, and we did, my God, we were having more sex than the kids. We had the open marriage, we had the cheating, but all of these things gave the young people stuff that they had to come to terms with and deal with, and gave them layer and texture with their characters. So it was a very rewarding experience.
Yeah, sounds great. And did you feel any pressure or responsibility when taking on an iconic role? How did you handle it?
Well, you mean Dawson's Creek?
Yes, yes.
Well, it wasn't iconic yet. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
nobody knew from Dawson's Creek. I mean, I saw this character. He had a lot of layers. He was a really good. I just involved myself in trying to find the truth of who Mitch Leery was, primarily as a father, and as a husband. He even said, I say in my last episode, I'm a family man. I'll never write a song or paint a painting or, make a movie that'll change the world. And that's okay because my son will do that. So I just tried to find, and it was very interesting. James and I, a lot of our mannerisms were the same. I don't know if it's because we were paying such careful attention to each other, but people would say, is that intentional? Because you two, it was really good casting because in many ways, little things that we would do, the way we would raise our eyebrows or I don't know, expressions we would make, people would say, did you study each other? Did you? I said, no, it's just happening on its own.
great. And were there any specific moments or chants that you find particularly challenging or rewarding to perform?
You mean in Dawson's Creek?
Yeah, Oasis in Dawson Creek.
Oh, I thought the hurricane episode was brilliant. In the beginning, anything that shoots up to the level of pop success, cultural success that Dawson's Creek did, inevitably there's a there's a kickback and it becomes a joke. You know what I mean? It'll become a
Yeah,
punchline on late night TV. Then, as time goes by, it assumes its proper place in the history of television shows for young people. But I remind people that first season we were the critically acclaimed Dawson's Creek. We were editor's choice, TV guide, in those days. And the hurricane episode, where there's a hurricane coming and Mitch finds out that Gail has been cheating on him. And that whole episode was so brilliantly written by Kevin Williamson. And it was so honestly performed by Mary-Margaret Humes,
yeah,
who just went right down into the depth of her pain. I mean, that was a character that had the potential for the audience not to like her very much, but because Mary-Margaret invested such truth and pain in her performance that she managed to keep. That's very difficult. I mean, it was easy for Mitch because Mitch, in many ways, was the victim in that situation,
yeah.
right? Um, but she did a remarkable thing, and I have to give her credit. She made a woman who cheated on her husband a sympathetic. We understood almost, you know. Plus, the way it was written, I have to give Kevin all the credit in the world. The explanation that she gave when she's sitting on the porch and I'm outside after the hurricane, how everything in her life was so perfect that she had everything she wanted. And so she missed the wanting, and so
Yeah.
she ended up throwing a wrench and she said, boy, do I want now. I want what I had back, So it was full of that kind of thing. I thought really indicative of Kevin Williamson's genius was when Dawson was making a prosthetic head. We were in the dining room table of Joey for his horror movie, but he was dating Jen, and he was asking Mitch, how do you kiss what's a girl, you know? And Mitch has this beautiful monologue about the first time he kissed Gail. And then he says, why don't you practice on this head of Joey? We didn't know that Joey had snuck up in through his window and was up on the upper landing watching. And what she was in love with Dawson, and she was watching Dawson practice to kiss Jen on a prosthetic head of her. And I just thought that was such a bang. You know, it was such a, so many conflicting things going on there. It was such a rich scene. I always single that out as an example of the kind of writing and the kind of genius, really, that Kevin Williamson had that caused that show to really cause us to re-examine the way we tell stories for young people. You know, that they can be much more layered and textured, and we can write up to a young audience instead of down to a young audience,
Yeah,
you know?
agree. And how do you think Mitch has left a lasting impact on popular culture?
Well, the way I feel about Mitch, you know, I've played good dads. In Teen Wolf, I was a psychotic dad. You know,
Yeah.
I've played really awful dads. Mitch, the thing that I always thought about Mitch was, okay, he wasn't the smartest. I say he wasn't the brightest bulb on the tree, right? but but he loved his family
Yeah.
and he loved his son, and he didn't his parenting was instinctual. And if Mitch taught us anything, it was that good parenting isn't about making the right decision all of the time. Good parenting is about loving your child, you know,
Yes.
um, beginning and end. And I think that one reason people love the character of Mitch and were so upset, you know, when he died was because whether I was punishing Dawson, whether we were disagreeing, whatever it was, Mitch was coming from a place of he absolutely adored his son and he wanted the best, you know? And
Yes.
so that kind of dad still it's very moving to me that he's still as important to people. I go to conventions, superhero conventions, where I'm primarily representing the Flash, and so
Yes.
many people come up and talk to me about how much Dawson's Creek meant, and new people who are discovering the show for the first time. You know,
Yeah.
so I've been lucky in landing in different mediums, like I did daytime TV in the early 80s, Guiding Light, which they call Sentieri, I believe, in
Yes.
Italy.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of the youth explosion in daytime. Kevin Bacon was my dressing room mate. Julianne Moore was my leading lady on As the World Turns. So that was the beginning of a new way of doing daytime drama. I landed in The Flash at the beginning of a new way of telling superhero stories for a mainstream audience. You know, that we're going to take these people seriously. We're not going to make fun of them. There will be comedy, there will be action adventure, but we're also going to look at who is the man inside the mask. And let's try to get the audience to relate to him, you know. And then Dawson's Creek, which was a new way of telling stories for young people. So I've been fortunate to land in seminal moments in different mediums.
Yeah. Great. And can you share any memorable, fun encounters or experience related to your character, Mitch Leary?
With encounters with
Fans,
who?
fans.
Oh, well, you know, everyone is like, nobody ever got over the ice cream cone. I wish I had it here, but people at conventions, I have an ice cream cone pin that a fan brought me, and they were
Okay.
like, they weren't sure how I'd react. And I laughed so hard. I said, "That's funny." I said, "It's dark, but it's funny." They'll bring me an ice cream cone. They'll say, "Don't eat this while you're driving." You know, but but it's mostly and I find this at conventions that people who come to see you come for a reason, and they have something that they want to communicate to you based on whatever character it was, whether it was Barry Allen, whether it was Mitch Leery, whether it was Mr. Leahy and Teen Wolf, that they have something that they want to communicate to you about the way it affected them. And people, I mean, it's beautiful. They open up and they let you. I feel like as an actor, we let people see inside of us. Well, when I meet members of the audience and people who have supported, they let me see inside of them
Yeah.
because they tell me how old they were, what was happening in their life, who they were sharing it with. And it can be quite emotional and it's quite lovely.
Yeah, I agree. And throwing back to the origins of your career, how did the passion for acting come about in your life?
I originally started in music. I started studying piano at the age of 4, you know, and then I started singing. I went to a big opera theater school as a voice performance major. I thought I would have a career as a musician. I had studied keyboard for 14 years. Had a big voice. Uh, and then I got bitten by the acting bug and I did a couple of plays. I did a musical, Company by Stephen Sondheim in the theater department and and a couple of other things. And then I dropped out of Indiana University and moved to New York. And it was a very interesting group. It was Peter Saputo, it was Lynn Thigpen, it was CCH Pounder, it was a bunch of young actors. And so I kind of moved to New York with a family, and they said, okay, this is how you do it. You get Ross reports, which is a list of all the agents. You send them a resume. You get headshots. You go. You see them. You follow up with a postcard. You call them. You do workshops for no money, trying to get an agent to come and see you and get interested while you're waiting tables, during the day, because
Yeah,
that's a very flexible schedule, right?
right.
And so Michael Thomas, I got an agent who believed in me. And I did Showtime's first original movie for television. It was called The Dirtiest Show in Town. It was part of the Best of Off Broadway series that they did at the beginning. Me and My Girl, Passion of Dracula, Dirtiest Show in Town. And then the next month, I was cast as Kelly Nelson on Sentieri on Guiding
Okay.
Light.
Yes.
Um, and then that was the beginning of my professional career. And since 1979, I haven't had to do anything else.
Okay. Sounds great. And among all the roles you have had the chance to play throughout your career, is there any particular role you are most fond of?
Someone else said it's like trying to pick a favorite child.
Yes.
You know, I
Yeah.
mean, different roles came to me at different moments in my life. When I was a very, very young actor, I started in daytime TV and I won 2 Emmys. I played a really good guy for 4 years, and then I played a psycho with Julianne Moore on World Turns, and then I played an abusive character on Santa Barbara and won my second Emmy. So that was very special to me then. My brother still says some of the best work I've ever done was going from good guy Douglas Cummings all the way to psycho Douglas Cummings in As the World Turns. Certainly, the first Flash was amazing because it was my jump to prime time, from daytime to prime time. And the most expensive show Warner Brothers had ever done. And being at the center of such an enormous production on the back lot at Warner Brothers Studios, it was like, pinch me, I'm dreaming, you know?
Yeah.
And then to get involved, then I got to play a drug addicted cop on NYPD Blue. I got to do the Tony Award winning play Dancing at Lunasaw on Broadway. Uh, 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 I wouldn't know how to pick. Some of my favorite scenes are my father's son scenes. You know, the ones with Dawson and the ones with Grant Gustin's Barry when I was in prison, because they're that father son relationship, like a mother daughter relationship, is so textured. It's there's I don't have to tell you, it's so many layers to explore. And luckily, I've worked with writers, Kevin Williamson, Greg Berlanti, all the writers on Dawson's Creek, Greg Berlanti then writing The Flash, Andrew Kreisberg, Jeff Johns, the great director David Nutter directing our pilot for The Flash, the new Flash. And they've been such beautifully written scenes. Even my psycho dad on Teen Wolf, it was so creepy. It's like if I go back and watch season 2 of Teen Wolf when it was on MTV,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know where you got that from, but let's just put that back in the box. So
Great.
it's very difficult. I can't pick one and say I love each one. Like people will say, do you enjoy playing Jay Garrick better, or do you enjoy playing Barry Allen on The Flash? And my answer is I enjoyed playing Barry Allen then, and I enjoy playing Jay Garrick now. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have wanted to play Jay Garrick then, and Barry Allen would be not exactly age appropriate for me now, So everything, I try to look at each role that I do, whatever it is. If it's the Tony Award winning play on Broadway, if it's daytime TV, if it's prime time, if it's independent film, if it's Never Ending Story 2, the movie, whatever it is, whatever I'm doing right now, I try to look at it like this is the favorite part that I've ever done, so that I invest whatever it is. Some are better written, some are not as well written, doesn't matter. Apply the same focus and interest and try to find myself in whatever is on the page and to bring that to life. And that's what made the Dawson's Creek cast special, because everybody was trying to do that. That's what made the CW Flash cast because everyone, even though it was superhero entertainment, everyone was trying, okay, yeah, but let's make these people make sense. Let's have the audience go, I can relate to what that person is going to. I believe that. What he just said, I believe that. And I've had that same thought, that same feeling. That's what makes acting fun.
Yeah, great. And the last question.
Yeah.
What can you tease about your next project?
Oh, well, I have a bunch of appearances. I just did one in Washington State with Grant Gustin, which you can go on my Instagram account and see a bunch of pictures. And me and Grant has a beard now. And I have done appearances with Mary-Margaret Humes at conventions. In the fall, I go back to the Judson Theater in Pinehurst, North Carolina, to do a theater production of, I just happen to have it right here, A Few Good Men.
Okay, perfect.
So I did 12 Angry Men there a while back, like 4 years ago. And it was a great experience, doing that there. And so I look forward to returning. I do TV for a while, then I want to get back on stage. I do stage for a while, then I want to get back the intimacy of the camera. So
Yeah.
I try to keep as many feet in as many doors as I can. And part of it is, to tell the truth, what's going to present itself. Someone once asked Jacqueline Bisset, who did The Deep. They said, "You're such a good actress. Why are you doing movies that are not necessarily? Why did you do The Deep?" And she said, "Because I wasn't offered Sophie's Choice." You do what you're offered, and you do it, whether it's Shakespeare or whether it's daytime TV, you do it with the same intensity and the same sincerity and energy, no matter what. So far, again, it's kept going, and I'm just excited to see, okay, universe, what's next?
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Yes, stay tuned. Great. Thank you, Don, for joining us today and sharing your
Thank you.
experience with us and for your time.
Thank you so much. It was delightful talking to you.
And hope you all enjoying our trip in the memories with Don. And thank you for watching. Bye.